Welcome to our Facebook Live, where UC Davis Mind Institute experts provide information that you want to know. I'm Marianne Sharp. Today, we'll be talking about a unique program at the Mind Institute that trains future leaders from a wide variety of disciplines involved with developmental disabilities. It's called the Northern California Leadership, Education, and Neurodevelopmental and Related Disabilities Program, or LEND, L-E-N-D, as we usually call it. And this interdisciplinary leadership, service, and training program is currently recruiting self-advocates, family members, clinicians, community leaders, researchers, and more for the 2022-2023 training year. We're going to learn all about it and this great opportunity from a diverse group of LEND experts. They include Kelly Hearn, who is program manager for the LEND training program. She's been a researcher and project coordinator for several different studies at the Mind Institute, examining social relationships in school-age children with autism and the epidemiology of autism in California. Welcome, Dr. Hearn.
Thank you.
And we're also joined by Viviana Barnwell, who is a long-term trainee in the LEND program. She was also recently appointed to the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. She's the mother of a neurodivergent child and leads advocacy groups for parents of children with disabilities, largely Spanish speakers and immigrants. And her discipline in the program is education. Welcome, Viviana.
Thank you.
We're also joined by Catherine Harlan Owens, who is a medium-term LEND trainee. She's also the intake coordinator and coach for the Mind Institute's Family Navigator program, and a parent advocate and the parent of a 7-year-old neurodivergent child. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you.
And finally, Katrine Mattern-Baxter, who is the Physical Therapy Discipline Director for the LEND program and a professor at Sacramento State. Dr. Mattern-Baxter has been a physical therapist for 40 years, and she is an American Physical Therapy Association board-certified pediatric specialist. Welcome, Dr. Mattern-Baxter.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much for being here with us today. We have lots of questions. If you have questions during the discussion, please post them in the comments and we will answer them toward the end of our talk. So I think we better start with the basics on this one. This is an amazing program with a very long name, and it does so much for the Mind Institute and for the community. And I think we should start with, what is LEND and what is the goal of the program? Maybe let's start with you, Dr. Hearn.
Yeah, thanks, Marianne. That was a lovely intro. So the LEND program is a training program for leaders in the field of autism and other neurodevelopmental disabilities. So we're looking for folks who work with individuals with NDDs and their families so that they can take what they learn from LEND to better provide services and support them. And as you mentioned, we are interdisciplinary focused, which means our trainees will learn alongside folks from many disciplines and backgrounds. So as you mentioned, this would include professionals, clinicians, researchers, as well as family members, community leaders, and self-advocates and disability advocates. So right now we have 34 trainees, long and medium terms, who are representing 11 disciplines. So I'm very proud of that. That is a huge range. Within LEND, we offer a variety of experiences from didactics to seminars, as well as clinical experiences and experiences at various community sites. So our trainees, they learn to be leaders in the field. We give leadership seminars, which Viviana actually co-leads this year. They also get to practice in dissemination skills by presenting what they learn. In addition, they gain knowledge, lots of knowledge. It's a very packed year in the latest research, evidence-based practices from experts in the field. And they also get hands-on experience in clinical assessments and observations. And they get to work with families and other professionals in community placements at local agencies and organizations. They also get to increase their advocacy skills through our policy and advocacy curriculum by learning how to advocate by really moving beyond that individual level advocacy to a systems level advocacy through learning about the legislative process and effective ways to influence policymakers. So really the goal of LEND is to fill in these gaps of training for leaders, families, and professionals so that we will have more providers who can better serve those with developmental disabilities.
Wow, you weren't kidding about it being a very packed year. That is a lot. Maybe could you also talk a little bit about why it is so appropriate that LEND is at the Mind Institute?
Sure. Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, as we know, the Mind Institute is an internationally known leader in research and clinical care for ASD and DD, proudly founded by families. So having the Lend housed at the Mind really is a perfect place because it enables us to connect our trainees with experts in the field. They get access to state-of-the-art facilities and many other resources that are necessary to provide this exceptional interdisciplinary training and services. Being at the Mind also is great because we get to work together with 3 other training programs here. I'll just briefly mention them. First one is ARTP, which is the Autism Research Training Program. It's a postdoctoral fellowship program. We also work closely with our UCED, which is the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, and then the MCHB, or Maternal Child Health Bureau Leadership Training Program for Developmental Behavioral Pediatrics. So this collaboration really makes the experience for all our trainees much richer. And I think, you know, as we're in this conversation throughout today, 2 common themes I'll just point out is this interdisciplinary and collaborative. And it's really something that's woven throughout the Lend, but really all through Mind. I'll also mention in that question, you know, why at the Mind. You know, the Northern California Lend, we are one of 60 Lend sites across the country. We are one of 4 in California, but the only one in Northern California. The other 3 are in Southern California. So that means our Lend site really covers a large geographic area. So NorCal is unique because we include a large rural population. And oftentimes, you know, this includes folks who aren't able to easily access services. So our Lend, Northern California Lend, really has an eye on better serving the underrepresented population, which may include under-resourced, racial ethnic minorities, English learners, et cetera. So really being at the Mind in Sacramento has a lot of advantages.
Yeah, really important. Great answer. I have one more question for you, Dr. Hearn, then we will move on. And that is that you've mentioned these different sorts of trainees: short term, medium term, long term. Could you explain a little bit about what each of those means, what it entails?
Yeah, happy to. So yeah, we have several trainee tracks within our NorCal Lend. And really the primary difference between those tracks are the number of training hours one gets in the training year that they're here. So I'll start with the long terms. Viviana is this year. Folks who in the long-term track, they do 300 plus hours in the year that they're here with us. They attend weekly seminars. They do a leadership research project, and they all have clinical and community placements. They also have a mentor assigned to them, and so they usually meet every couple weeks. And long terms get a stipend. So for the medium terms, which Catherine is one of our medium terms this year, that track does not receive a stipend, but it is the more flexible track, I guess I'll say. And it's really neat because they get access really to all the activities that the long-term trainees get. But because they don't have as much training hours here with us during the year, they can tailor and select the training activities that are more suited to their individual training goals. And under the medium track here, I'll do always my umbrella sign. I don't know why, but there's like 2 tracks under that umbrella. We kind of have the regular medium term, which you do 40 to 149 training hours. And then for the advanced medium term track, you do 150 to 299 hours. And again, really the main difference is those number of hours. For the advanced medium track, they have the option of doing a leadership research project, but it's not required. But those are kind of the 2 medium tracks. And then sometimes you'll hear about a 3rd track, which is our short-term trainees. And it's not, you don't have to apply to be a short-term trainees, but these are the folks who end up attending a talk or 2 that the Lend training offers. And so we get to count them, and they are folks who do less than the 40 hours.
Great, thank you so much. So much flexibility in terms of, you know, to meet each person's need. Okay, Viviana, let's move on to you if we could. We were just talking about you being a long-term trainee. Could you tell us what you're focusing on and what your experience has been like so far?
Yes, so this year I'm focusing on 2 areas specifically. One is education, because that's my field of work. And that has given me the opportunity of participating in IDCs, interdisciplinary clinics, and seeing cases from the perspective of someone who has background in education. Also, the project I'm working on is related to education. It's a project on classroom quality. And the second area I am focusing on is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really important because as a society, we tend to forget that when a person has a disability, they might also be part of another minority group. Those are the families I work with, people who are immigrant, English learners, from other racial groups. And sometimes we tend to forget the intersectionality and the importance of teaching everyone, including professionals, of the difficulty that these groups have in navigating systems. And also, as Dr. Hong mentioning, I'm co-leading the leadership group. So this has been a really great experience learning for me, both as a person and as a professional, and of course, as an advocate.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll have more questions for you, but I'd love to hear from you, Catherine, as well about your experience as a medium-term trainee and what that's been like so far.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Like Kelly was saying, the great thing about the medium-term trainees is we do have a lot of flexibility, which has been great for me as a parent. And also because I'm working on some pre-nursing coursework and applying for nursing schools. So I've had to kind of balance and juggle a few things. And I work at the Mind Institute in the Family Navigator program as well. So this has been a wonderful experience because I've really been focused in Family Navigator in my prior experience at the Mind, but I've been able to do so much more. My main area of focus is really where my passion has always been, which is supporting parents and kind of service navigation, helping kind of break down those barriers that parents have following diagnosis with accessing services and also getting support. I've been able to participate in a mindfulness parent support group through LEND called Get Mindful to help parents with self-care measures and mindfulness activities and learning the basics to be a better parent and a stronger advocate for their children. And I'm also really fortunate to work in a great clinical capacity. I help support our COVID-19 vaccination clinic at the Mind Institute for children and adults with NDDs. And that's something that really interests me on my nursing pathway and has been a wonderful experience that I wouldn't be able to do unless I participated in LEND. So I've been very grateful for that.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, we can put the link in the comments to that wonderful vaccination clinic for individuals with neurodevelopmental disabilities and their families. And we will also post in the comments the link to the LEND webpage, as well as the application and several other things. So if you're looking for more information, please check there. Okay, thank you so much, Catherine. Now, Dr. Madden Baxter, you are the Physical Therapy Discipline Director for LEND, and you're also, of course, a professor at Sacramento State. Can you explain the partnership between the Mind Institute and Sacramento State and where physical therapy fits into this?
Oh, I'd be happy to talk about it. Thank you for asking. So we have about 20 faculty members in LEND today, and they represent those 11 different disciplines that Kelly mentioned earlier. And there's also some other affiliate faculty members who lead seminars and support the program in other ways. So it's quite a large group of highly trained individuals that contribute to the faculty and to the training. So 3 of those disciplines are housed at Sacramento State. We have 3 discipline directors that stem from this collaboration between Sacramento State and UC Davis. And one of them is Dr. Heather Thompson. She is from Communication Science and Disorders, and she's a speech therapist. Dr. Jean Gonstier-Gurdon, who is from special education, and myself from physical therapy. So our role as discipline directors, we mentor our discipline-specific trainees, and then we also contribute to the seminar series in our area of expertise, and we contribute to the different clinical opportunities that LEND provides, in particular the interdisciplinary cases that we have several times in a year of LEND. So all of those basically are designed to increase that interdisciplinary aspect of LEND, where we have all these different ancillary health, allied health disciplines reflected in addition to the ones that are more medically based, and also then the family and advocate based disciplines. So we have some clinics as well and some programs at Sac State that our trainees have access to. Some of them had to be, of course, short, on short notice, canceled or limited due to COVID, but we're hoping to come back to running these again in the near future. And so this is an additional opportunity for trainees to see what we do at Sac State in our community clinics. So all of this just adds to the interdisciplinary nature of the program. And you get additional areas of expertise reflected by collaborating between UC Davis and Sac State.
Yeah, the collaboration involved in this program is really remarkable, actually. Dr. Herng, I forgot to ask, and I'm not sure if we mentioned it, but how is LEND funded?
We're federally funded through HRSA, and that's health. Oh my goodness, help me out, folks. That's what I use less frequently.
I know what you're talking about. It's maternal and infant. Yes, we will post it in the comments. Sorry, I shouldn't have hit you with that like that. I just wanted people to know that
Patrick.
Yeah, we wanted to know that it is fully funded, right? And that that's an important aspect for people to know because it's stable. So, okay, great. All right, just want to let everybody know that we are talking about the Mind Institute's LEND program right now, if you're just tuning in. It is a robust interdisciplinary leadership and service training program. And the reason we're talking about it right now is because it's currently recruiting for the 2022-2023 training year. And these lovely people that you also see alongside me here are Dr. Kelly Herng, who is the program manager for the LEND training program, Viviana Barnwell, who is a long-term trainee in the LEND program, Catherine Harlan Owens, who is a medium-term trainee, and Katrine Mattern-Baxter, who is the physical therapy discipline director for LEND. I see that we have at least one question, and we'll be getting to that in just a few moments. If you have any other questions, please do put them in the comments, and we will be sure to get to them before the end of the program. Oh, we've got one more coming in. So great. Keep those questions and comments coming. I think a good question to ask next is, who should apply for LEND? It feels like it is a huge, wide variety of people who might be thinking about this program, and given the flexible options, that's wonderful because we want to collaborate with all kinds of people, right? Maybe Dr. Herng, this might be a good question for you. Who should apply for LEND?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot, and kind of my short answer is it would be folks who have a passion for helping to improve the lives of individuals with autism and other NDDs. And I think folks who get a lot out of the program are folks who can take that information and really use that. Be it, in a community program or in their professional life, but that passion is really important. And then I'll just mention again that interdisciplinary nature. That's why this question is kind of hard to answer, because I would say everyone under the sun, because I think that the power of our program really is that collaboration and the multiple disciplines. Our folks really learn from each other. So I do really encourage folks who want to do this work and have a passion for it, but really stress the family members and our self-advocates and our disability advocates. I think a lot of times when folks are, finding information about this program, think mind, oh, academic, oh, research, but that really is not the case. Without our family members, without our self-advocates and disability advocates, we really lose a lot of the expertise without them. So I hope that folks listening to this will remember that is a strands that we really want to emphasize for this program.
This next question, I think, could really be for anyone. Maybe we'll start with you again, Dr. Herng, and then go around, which is, and you've touched on this a little bit, but the sort of opportunities. So if I'm a potential trainee and I'm thinking about applying, and I want to know, well, what kind of opportunities do I have at the Mind Institute or elsewhere at Sacramento State, et cetera? Maybe give some specifics or examples from the past so that people can really get a sense of what it will mean.
Yeah, so what it looks like, besides the didactics and seminars and workshops that we have on site, Mind is really a unique place in that we have access to so many clinics, because housed under the Mind, we have researchers, but a lot of clinicians as well, and researchers who are doing research with family members and other folks from the community. So those clinics, there's so many, we actually have like a 4-page chart where we list all of these, but I'll just, kind of off the top of my head, like we have early intervention clinic, clinics. We have physical therapy clinics like Dr. Matern-Baxter does. We have a genomic opportunities and clinics. We have ADHD labs. The list goes on and on. So we have lots of clinics that are housed at the Mind. And then in terms of offsite, we have these community placements we were talking about. And this year's been a little funky because with the remote access, but the power of Zoom and remote access, we have been able to pivot. So sites that we have where folks would usually go there, our trainees are still able to observe a lot of clinical assessments taking place. So that our care clinic is one of those that's offsite. We've also worked with other organizations such as Head Start and Oak Park Preschool, which is a nearby preschool that have an emphasis on serving the underserved population. And our trainees, actually, it's really cool. This year they've been able to provide trainings to the staff there as well as parents. So again, remotely. In fact, this year we are doing, some of the trainees are recording podcasts so that the parents can have easier access to that resource. So a variety of things on-site, off-site, through the Zoom world, lots of options.
All right, Viviana or Catherine, anything you'd like to add based on your own experiences?
Well, I'll just say, I started at the Mind Institute with my son as a patient, and I was a volunteer in the Massey Clinic. That's how I kind of got started, was with Child Life. And I think that what's so brilliant about Lend is that I learned so much being a volunteer with Child Life, but truly this interdisciplinary nature of Lend, I've been able to see so much more that goes on at the Mind Institute and meet so many more people and interact with more parents and self-advocates, that I just think that there really is nothing like it as a parent advocate myself, that I can really just learn and absorb so much, and it helps me be a better parent. It helps me stay informed, and it just also helps to connect with other people that, like Kelly said, truly have a passion for making the lives of parent lives and everyone's lives easier that need support. And so it's just been a wonderful thing for me as a person, but it's also helped me grow so much in my own education and my own advocacy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Viviana?
Yes, there's a lot of opportunities to be involved with different organizations. This year, for example, I am a cadre member for CAPTAN, which is the California Autism, I have to look at it, Professional Training and Information Network, which basically is working throughout California and educating everyone on evidence-based practices, which are the practices based on research that are proven to support the lives of people with autism. And also there's a big component that Dr. Hung is really involved in, and that's the, I might not pronounce it well, I'm an English learner, legislative visits to legislators, to members of the Senate, members of the assembly members, and the opportunity that this gives to us is to talk to them about those bills that are important to people with NDDs. So we have the opportunity to meet with them virtually and tell them why these people really need, these families, like my family, really need their help pushing a law or a bill, because that will benefit a lot of individuals. So those are two of the biggest things that I have had the opportunity this year to be involved in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. And Dr. Matern-Baxter, anything to add?
Sure, I have something to add. I just, the emphasis is of this particular Lend is very, very high on autism, although we do have other NDDs as well. And so the opportunities in the clinics that come from Sac State and from my discipline include probably also some other diagnoses that are maybe a little bit more ancillary to the Mind Institute. So, for example, once I start my little program back up again, there'll be a much higher percentage of children who do not have exclusively autism. They might have autism in addition to something else, but they also have a lot of genetic syndromes, a lot of children with cerebral palsy. Those are the common diagnoses that we see in the clinics that I run. So there is that added kind of diversity for diagnostic pictures that our LEND trainees can see. And the same is true for the speech clinic as well, because they have also, obviously those children that come to the speech clinic have different issues than physical issues, as you would see in physical therapy, but they also might stem from a variety of diagnoses, including autism, but also other diagnoses that LEND trainees might have not been exposed to so much before. So that's just an additional aspect of LEND that I'd like to point out.
No, thank you. That's great for people to know. What is the cost for trainees of taking part in the LEND program? Dr. Hearn?
Yeah, I'll take this one. There's no cost to be involved, no cost to apply. I was kind of thinking about this because sometimes we get this question. Only thing I can think of is sometimes you have to pay for parking when you come on site, to do some of the activities. But other than that, I mean, it's really exciting that we can offer this for free. And we are funded by HRSA. Thank you, Patrick. That is the U.S. Health Resource and Services, federally funded. There you go. Now it's officially in. So there's that. And then for, as I mentioned earlier, our long-term trainees get a stipend. So extra bonus.
Yeah. Everyone loves it when there's not a cost associated with an amazing opportunity like this, right? Dr. Hearn, you sort of alluded to it really fairly directly, actually, just that the goal of the program is to improve the health, developmental, and behavioral outcomes for children with autism and other neurodevelopmental disabilities, and talked a little bit about it, but I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into that, into just how LEND is accomplishing that goal, or those goals. It's really more than one.
Yeah, I think, with any leadership program, the goal is to develop leaders. And so when I talked about, when I was talking about advocacy a little earlier, kind of moving from an individual level to systems level, I think training is similar in that you really want to not just help one family, but you want to teach leaders and build folks who have the skill and the knowledge so that they continue to do that work with lots of families and touch the lives of lots of families. So I think that's what the strength of our LEND program lies, is we're building leaders, we're creating experts, we are helping folks. We're filling that gap in training so that the folks who are in the field cannot, that not only that we have more of these leaders, but leaders who have that high quality training so that they continue to use that information to help families.
Dr. Madam Baxter, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about saying this earlier, but I'm glad it came back up. In terms of, who should apply and when in your career is this a good thing to do? And I have had some of my former students who have come almost directly into LEND after graduating and have greatly benefited from it early in their careers. But I've also have had trainees who have had several years of work experience already, and they were equally, they just got different things out of LEND, but certainly the leadership aspect is huge. And I could brag that all of the trainees that I've had that have gone through LEND have actually then gone on to, jobs that were, better or with more responsibility than the ones that they had previously. So it has helped them propel their careers to a certain degree, that having that LEND on the resume is a good thing. It certainly shows your engagement and it shows your motivation, and having this leadership training, it just shines through when you interact with people. So that was nice to see that it actually led to things beyond LEND, including, I had just had a trainee who presented at conference. She was last year's trainee. She presented the research project that she did that I am continuing now at a very big national, at that biggest national physical therapy conference. So those are opportunities that will, bring you forth in your career as well.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Catherine or Viviana, anything to add?
Yes, as Dr. Hung said, the purpose is to educate leaders. So as a parent, when I get educated, I go out to the community and spread the word shared with parents what I have learned with family members. And one thing that I'm very positive about is that a parent that is educated, it's a parent that is going to be able to better advocate for their child, for their family member, and also is going to really work together with the professionals that are supporting their child, which is something I have learned a lot this year about in the parent coaching program. Parents are partners with the professionals, and that's something important for everyone to understand.
Great, thank you. Catherine?
Yeah, just piggybacking on Viviana, I'm in the parent coaching seminar too, and I could not agree more. I think parents talk to other parents. Parents are other great supports for other parents, but we all need to be working together. And I believe so much in collaboration. I believe so much in sharing resources and information. And that's really what LEND is. And the better that, we can all work together, and the stronger that we feel as leaders, not just as parents, but truly, being trained to be leaders is just going to help everyone. And I think that's such an important thing with being a parent, is connecting with other parents and developing these skills so that you can be the best possible advocate for your child.
Well said. Thank you so much. We have a couple of questions that we'll get to. I did also want to let everyone know that we have posted a number of links in the comments, including the email address that you can send questions about the program to, link to the actual site for LEND, as well as the application. There's also a presentation that LEND trainees put together at the end of their program, and we have posted a link to our YouTube channel for the playlist that has last year's LEND presentation. So actually you can learn a lot by watching those. They're amazing. And then just lastly, before we get to a couple of questions, Dr. Hearn, the nuts and bolts, application deadlines, what's involved, etc.
Yeah, nuts and bolts. Happy to take that one. So I think the online link is on there. So the first step is to send in the online application. And part of that application will ask you to send in your resume or CV. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation. And if you're more in the academia background, we also ask you to send a communication sample, which could be maybe a paper you wrote or a presentation you've done. That is not required for family members or self-advocates or disability advocates. So you turn that in. That is due March 31st. Once we collect all our applications, we'll be reviewing those, and we'll reach out to the applicants that we want to invite back for an interview. And so we'll do those interviews, and we typically accept around 12 long-term trainees, around 25 medium-term trainees, and then we'll make our decisions, within a few weeks after that deadline. And then that's it. The program starts at the beginning of September, where we do an orientation. And would this be a good time to talk about the remote access, Marianne?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One of the common questions that we get is what we're doing with our training because of COVID. And, this certainly we're in year 6 of this program, and certainly the first 4 years was all in person. But of course, like everybody else, the world changed. We pivoted about 2 years ago now, and we really went all remote. So we are all best friends with Zoom right now, or enemies, depending on your situation. But so we've been really been able to offer this flexibility where folks can dial in and Zoom in to do the seminars, and we record them so folks who can't attend live can watch them later. The clinical and community sites are a little trickier. Those you certainly miss a little something when they're not in person, but the beauty of Zoom is that we've been able to run a lot of our assessments, even live stream them, so that trainees can dial in and observe and do things that way. So we don't know what the future will be. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we can, next year be back in person. That would be our plan. If that doesn't happen, we are now pretty good at doing the remote thing, so we would continue that. But even if we go back in person, our guess is that we would still offer some sort of hybrid model, because the silver lining of this is that by offering all of these remote access possibilities, we've had more trainees who've been able to regularly attend the activities. So that's pretty cool.
Got to look at the silver lining, don't we?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, we have a question from someone who calls themselves an autistic, psychiatric, APRN, and neurobiological healing provider, who says, "What about self-advocacy, trainees? This is the best and most important piece of Lent and changed my life." Anybody want to take that one? I think we've talked somewhat about the importance of the self-advocates.
We have. I can start, and I'd love to hear from the others on my team here. Yeah, self-advocacy is so important. One of, like, as I know I said the word interdisciplinary, ding, 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 like 20 times today, but that truly includes the self-advocacy and disability advocates, because that angle is not one that is often, available to folks. And so, yes, self-advocacy is so important in the program. And I would encourage you, questioner, to find out more about LEND and hopefully apply. It is something that I find, we've had self-advocates in the past, and certainly we have multiple people who identify with having a disability, but we have also had one of our faculty members, Kiki Godfrey, was a past LEND trainee and now current LEND faculty member, and she's on the spectrum, and the perspective and wisdom and experience that she brings to the group is just phenomenal. So to have more trainees who identify as self-advocates who have disabilities would really add to our program.
Absolutely. Does anyone else want to chime in? It's okay if you don't, no pressure. Okay, we also have a really nice comment that I wanted to read. It's not really a question, but from Robbie Miller, who manages the International Training Program in Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. You mentioned it, actually, I think ITPND at the Mind Institute. And he says he's appreciated LEND allowing our international scholars to participate. So that's great. Thank you so much for that. And
yeah, thanks, Robbie. Actually, Marianne, I
yeah,
actually
please.
did not mention ITPND. I mentioned a lot of other letters.
Oh, okay.
But
I missed it in ARTP, sorry.
I did, and ITPND is another one that we've been able to welcome international scholars into our program, and we've invited them to attend our seminars as well as observe our IDCs, our interdisciplinary case conferences. So that has been great as well. So thank you, Robbie.
All right. Yeah, we do have a lot of acronyms, don't we? Okay, one last question here, which also has a nice comment. Thanks for your help for advocating and for advancing the studies for neurodevelopmental disabilities. How can we be a part of the Mind Institute program? Thanks, from an ASD dad.
Where do we start? There's so many options with the mind, right? So I'll say there are. So I'll say number one, apply to LEND. But besides that, we have a lot of resources that are available online that you can look at. Our SED, our University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. Ooh, that's more letters. We have a wonderful website there where there's a lot of resources. But if you're interested in participating in research, we have a research database that you can get onto the Mind. Maybe Patrick, I don't know if you can put a link in that. You can sign up for the database is the wrong word. It's the our system of the potential research participants. You can be added to that. And I mean, in the past, I would say show up at the Mind because our resource center is open and you can check out our library. But right now, the physical center is not open, but our phone call is. Our phone are still being supported by SED staff members, and they're awesome. Oh, thank you, Patrick. The Research Volunteer Registry. That sounds a lot better than what I just said. So you can hop on that way. What other things, folks, am I forgetting?
I'll give a plug for Family Navigator. We have a great program at the Mind Institute for families that need support following diagnosis with navigating services. We also have a Family Navigator parent support group, which is a great resource for parents to connect with other parents, ask questions. We have focused topics at the end of the group. So I would we can provide the link and information of how to get connected with Family Navigator. But that's definitely a great resource I would take advantage of.
Yeah, and you can sign up for our Mind Times, which is our external newsletter, and that'll keep you up to date on events, lectures, webinars, programs, research, etc. So that's always a good thing too. And check out our website. We have a news section under there where we have all sorts of updates about what's happening at the Mind Institute. All right, I think we have covered a lot today. Thank you so much. And if you do have additional questions, go ahead and post them in the comments, and we will try to get our experts to answer those for you. They're really great about answering things afterward. So please, and share this with anyone that you think might be interested in this information, because as you've seen, it's almost unlimited in terms of the people who would benefit from knowing more about Mind or perhaps applying for Mind. So thank you all so much for being with us today and for sharing your LEND experiences and your expertise.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for joining this UC Davis Mind Institute Facebook Live. We encourage you to share this post with any family or friends who you think would enjoy it. Thanks for joining us.
The UC Davis Mind Institute was founded in 1998 with a promise to reduce and prevent the disabilities that can be associated with autism and other neurodevelopmental conditions. Every day, our clinicians and researchers make progress on that promise. Our groundbreaking research on autism, Fragile X syndrome, chromosome 22q11.2 deletion syndrome, ADHD, and other conditions associated with disability are helping affected individuals achieve their fullest potential. Please visit our website or our social media platforms to find out more about current studies, upcoming events, and how you can help make a difference.